love this t-shirt. Hello, it's the Friday Talkie, and I've got a few things to talk about today. It's the first time in a couple of weeks I've had the time, had the inclination, had the things to talk about. First off, Nintendo. I was asked if I would talk about this, and initially I thought, but now things are kind of progressing and I want to talk about it. Nintendo are in trouble, apparently. No, actually, they are. Sales of the Wii U are bombing. Sales of the 3DS are not doing as well as they might. There is evidence of this. I mean, quite often you hear news reports, such and such a system isn't doing well, blah blah, and it's like, yeah, so what? You don't notice. But you can tell that Nintendo are not doing well. I was in Tesco last night, and I just happened to look at the games section. They had, I don't know, a few X-Bone games. They had a few PS4 games. They had a good selection of Xbox 360 and a good selection of PS3 games. I looked at the Nintendo section. Let me rephrase that. I looked for the Nintendo section. Wii, Wii U, 3DS. Guess how many games I found? None. At all. Absolutely zero. 2 weeks ago I found 2 3DS games there. And maybe some Wii U games. I was there last night. There were none at all. There is a big hoo-ha now in social media and in fact in the news. Nintendo lost, what was it, 100 and something or other million. Their loss this past year or something like that, where they were expecting to make 300 million, something like that. Big losses. Their stocks slumped by so many percent, I don't know how much, but like the news media people jumped on that. They didn't then jump back on it when it was reported that their stocks had risen back to their normal level, but the media are like that, aren't they? They like to make a big deal out of people's misfortune. But there you are. It is safe to say Nintendo are not doing well at the moment. So people are jumping up and down and screaming and saying Nintendo should do this and Nintendo should do that. And a good deal of what they're saying is absolutely ludicrous. One thing people are saying is Nintendo should get out of the hardware market altogether and make their games for other systems. Make their main console games for the Xbone and PS3 or Android, stuff like that. Make their handheld games for mobile phones. Ain't gonna happen. Apart from the fact that, as has been stated elsewhere, Nintendo don't play well with other companies. There is no way in hell Nintendo are going to put the games on mobile phones, or indeed probably Android tablets. One thing you can always say about a Nintendo game, particularly Mario and his related games, the controls on them. I'm not a fan of Mario games, albeit my mind has been boggled by whatever it is, Super Mario 3D Land World, whatever, blah, on the 3DS. Bogglingly, awesomely brilliant. I'm not a Mario fan, but one thing I can always say about a Mario game, and that I appreciate about them, is the controls are fantastic. He is uber responsive and is always... You have always got exactly the right kind of controller. You know, the Nintendo D-pad is legendary. It is the best. There is no better D-pad than one made by Nintendo, and that's probably been the case since the Game & Watch. You need that quality feedback, that quality clicky feel, and you're never going to get that with a mobile phone with a touch screen, ever. You cannot play a Mario game, I do not believe, with touch screen. I mean, God, I was just playing on my playing Android Badly channel just a couple of days ago. I put up a new video, first time in a while, of a game called Edge. I first played Edge on the 3DS and loved it. So I had to go at it on Android with the touchscreen and couldn't do it. I just could not play it. It did not work. And that's a third-party game. That's an indie game. Can you imagine trying to play a Mario game with the touchscreen? It is not going to happen. So forget all of that. Anyone who's saying yes, they should drop all their hardware and make games on other, certainly not mobile systems. No way in hell is that going to happen. They're not going to put their games onto the PS3, 4, 360 X-Bone. It's not going to happen. So that's the first thing people are saying. And then there are people saying, nah, they should, or indeed are, developing new hardware. There's a big rumour. The Nintendo Fusion DS and the Nintendo Fusion Terminal. These are rumoured from sources to be the new hardware that Nintendo is working on. There's a load of specs here. I'm going to read out, I'm not going to read all the specs because there's a big long list of it. 3 gigs of memory, 2 gig for games, 1 gig for OS. Slide out design, custom swivel tilt hinge. Upper screen made of Gorilla Glass, comes with magnetic cover. Low end vibration for gameplay and apps alerts. Motorized circle pads for haptic feedback. Thumbprint security scanner with pulse sensing. Come on! 3G chip with GPS location, Bluetooth, blah blah blah, phones and tablet, blah blah, 16 gig of internal, blah. Fuck off! It is... Basically, someone has looked at what they already make and then added a whopping great big wish list of all the best stuff on the best other hardware. The stuff they'd like to see that they think would be a good idea. Sure, if you want to spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds on your handheld, fine. No, it's bollocks. Nintendo hardware is about being affordable. That I'm looking at on my screen is not affordable. I'm not even going to bother to look at the other thing. It's not going to happen. Nintendo learned a thing from Sega. And in fact, maybe they knew it anyway. Nintendo have been in business for a very, very long time. 1890, whatever was it? They've been in business a very, very long time. And good business practice says you don't shit all over your customer base. They're not going to dump their current systems. They've only ever done it once. They dropped the Virtual Boy. That was a stopgap. It was there purely to occupy people because the SNES was out of date and the N64 wasn't ready yet. It sold about 1 million, 1.5 million. The reports of people with headaches and the problems with it were so phenomenal because it was so clearly not finished. It just didn't work. They could be forgiven for dropping it. And it's the only time they've dropped something. So for the year and a half that was like filling the gap between the SNES and the N64, they plodded along. Then the N64 came out, and guess what? It didn't really sell very well. The PS1 was totally cleaning up, wiping the floor with everything. The Saturn was not really doing very well, but it probably did better. Sega dropped the Saturn. The N64, Nintendo hung on to it. They knew it wasn't doing really well, but they kept supporting it. They kept supporting the SNES long after it was well past its sell-by date. Nintendo aren't in the habit of dropping a product to bring on something new. They will push something for as long as they possibly can, for as long as it's remotely viable, and even if it's not viable, they do not crap on their customer base. They're not going to drop the Wii U and the 3DS to bring out something new just because they're struggling now. My personal view, I think there are 2 things that they need to do. And I think they're going to do one of them and probably not going to do the other. What do I think they're going to do? I think they are probably already in the early stages of developing a new system. Shock, horror, they're doing exactly what I said they wouldn't do? No. What people are screaming at them and saying, do this now, is drop the Wii U right now, bring out a new system. No. I think they're probably in the early stages of developing something new for release in maybe 3 years' time. Between 2 and 4 years. They're not going to drop the Wii U after a year. It's just plain not going to happen. They're going to leave it a reasonable lifespan. It's not going to be one of your 10-year lifespans like we've seen with the PS3 and 360. It's going to be a shorter lifespan because it ain't selling. And here's the thing. What they need to do now, this is my opinion, forget all the drop this, drop that, bring out something new. They need to, for God's sake, Nintendo, bring out some more games. The 3D, I don't know about the Wii U. I don't look at the games for the Wii U. I don't give a crap about the Wii U. I never have. From the moment it was announced, I did not care. But the 3DS has been out for, what, 2.5 years, 3 years? I'm not sure exactly. It's had 3 Christmases in Japan, hasn't it? I think it was just before Christmas, 3 Christmases ago. Whatever. It should by now have a very large catalogue of games, and it doesn't. I don't know how many there are, but if you're not into Pokemon, you're not into Mario and Luigi and blah blah blah, if you're not into your cutesy, stylized, Japanese themed strategy, roleplay, RPG, whatever, you ain't going to find something that you like, except maybe in the indie section on the eShop, and even then there's not that much. It's been over 2 years. The eShop should be chock full of indie games, and it's not. There are a couple of dozen, maybe, if that, and that's ludicrous. That's crazy. They need more games. Now, EA have said, we ain't doing any more for the Wii U. And I don't know about the 3DS. They're basically, they've given up on it. They're not selling enough. I think Activision may have done the same. I'm not sure about that. But this is where the whole stock price went, like, crashing. They're losing third-party support when they really, really, really need third-party support. So, they're losing the third-party support because not enough people have bought the console, and not enough people have bought the console because there aren't enough games, and it's that vicious circle that people predicted from the word go. Nintendo rely on their first-party games to sell their systems, but there just plain aren't enough of them, and they recycle their IPs over and over and over. They need to do one of or two things. Hire some more people, get some more programmers for God's sake, and make some more games, and make some new games. If you're not into the cute stuff or the stylized Japanese stuff, there's really nothing there for you. You need a hard-edged first-person shooter. The only thing I've come across that's remotely one of your oh God, what's that? Forgotten what it's called. Resident Evil. There's a Resident Evil game that I believe is a first-person thing. It needs more. And I'm thinking of the 3DS now. I don't know what's on the Wii. A proper racing game. Microsoft have got Forza. Sony have got Gran Turismo. What have Nintendo got? Bugger all. I think there's a Need for Speed on there. You got Ridge Racer. Come on. Make some proper games for people who aren't kids. I know that's been Nintendo's niche, their little key market. Alright, with the Wii it was your grannies who wanted the exercise and stuff like that. But generally Nintendo, it's aimed at the kids, and adults happen to like it as well. Kind of like, they're your, God, mental block. Christ, alright, edit me back in. Yeah, Harry Potter. The Nintendo games, they are to gaming what Harry Potter is to films, really. Aimed at kids, some adults like them as well. They need to make Stop making no, don't stop making Harry Potter, but make some Lord of the Rings as well, for us grown-ups who would like something with a bit more oomph and a bit more edge, and maybe be a bit darker. I know that's not Nintendo's thing, but Nintendo are not selling whilst all they're doing is their thing. So hire some more more programmers, and if there's a good developer out there that's maybe struggling, buy them out. Microsoft and Sony do it all the time. Nintendo need to do that. They need to get developers on board, and if they won't do it of their own accord, buy them and make them bloody well do it. Get more games, and then in the meantime develop their new hardware and release it in between 2 and 4 years time. That is what I think they should do. I think they're going to do the hardware. I don't think they're going to do the software. I think they are so incredibly blinkered. But Nintendo are not going to go broke. They're loaded. They have been through lean times before. They had the whole Virtual Boy debacle, followed by the N64 really not doing all that well. They've been there. They've survived. They know how to survive. They will survive this. They will probably plod along at a lower level. I mean, they're just not in the same league as Microsoft and Sony right now. And maybe they never were, but that's not what they're about. They're not about being the biggest. They're just about being in business. And they know how to stay in business. So, I'm not worried about them disappearing. I just wish they'd pull their finger out. And keep up. Get a grip. Understand the market. The rest of the world is not like Japan. I wish they'd wake up to that fact. There you go. That's all I have to say on that. Yeah, don't listen to the rumours. It's bollocks. What else have I got to talk about then? Okay, I'm going to do a couple of video responses. The first one is a response to a chap who has been an online friend of mine since way before I was ever on YouTube. I used to run a webcam chat room, and he found me and some friends there. I'm talking about Mr. Juggles 2000. He's not a big gamer, but he plays his games now and then. And anyway, he's done a video, and he asks the question of retro collectors, be they game or hardware collectors, and I think it's more talking about games. But anyway, if someone were to come to you and give you every game and every system that you wanted for your collection, space wasn't an issue, money wasn't an issue, they just said, here you go, that's completed your whole collection, you got it all now, everything you ever wanted, gaming wise, retro gaming wise, would that spoil it for you? Would that take away the passion? Would it? How would you feel about that? And I've got to say, I would say no thank you. And it is kind of like Paul said, part of the passion is in the collecting, in the waiting, the saving up, the looking for one at the right price. Part of the fun is in not having everything. As he said, he found himself with every game he could get for the PSP, and he lost interest. And I know exactly what he means. I have more games than I can play. I have enough to make videos for years to come, and I will continue to make videos for years to come. But in terms of actually playing for the pleasure of playing, there aren't enough hours in the day, days in the year, whatever. Because I find myself with a lot of games, either I don't go out buying games as a rule, but when I bought hardware, there have been games bundled with them. People have given me games. Games have been sold for bargain prices on UK deals in bundles, and so it's been like, okay, I'll have them, that's got a few good games there. But when you've got that many, you kind of have to limit yourself. if you were to say to me now, and I mean, I could not tell you how many games I've got. I have no idea. But if you were to ask me, what games do I play for pleasure now? 3. I got over 1,000 games easily in this place, and I mean, it is so easy to just download ROMs. I don't have any of those what you call EverDrives. I kind of want to get one like for the Mega Drive and for the N64 and the SNES. I'd like to get them, but on the other hand, given what I'm talking about, it might not be such a good thing. But like I've downloaded stuff for the 3DO, and I've got a load of stuff for the Dreamcast and compilations for the Amiga. More games than I can play, and with all of that, if I'm just playing for fun, I play Grand Theft Auto 5, Gran Turismo 6 and Battlefield 3. Got masses of PS3 games, but generally those are the 3 that I play for fun, because there aren't enough hours in the day to play everything. And so if someone was to give me everything, well, there'd be nothing to look forward to. I mean, ignoring the games themselves, but the hardware, there actually aren't any games at the moment that I sit and look at videos of or articles on and think, I really want that, I'm really looking forward to that. There's nothing. There is not a game out there that I think, I want to buy that. BF4 kind of interests me, but I'm enjoying Battlefield 3 so much that I kind of don't care. I don't have a PS4. There's nothing on it at the moment that makes me think I really, really, really need it. But if someone was to give me all the hardware that I don't have, there are several computers that I would like to get in the future that are, I won't say they're holy grails, but you know, I think I'd like to get one of them. If someone were to give me all of them, it would spoil it for me. Because I've got quite a few systems here now that were holy grails for me. They were, for years I thought, I really want one of them. The Vectrex was one, the Virtual Boy was one, the Jupiter Ace was one. Hell, for a long time I just really wanted a ZX81. And when you get them, it's fantastic. You've saved up, you've searched, you've hunted, you've found one at a sensible price, and it's a really good feeling. But then after a few years, it's just like, oh yeah, I got one of them. And I got one of them. And I can sit here, I can turn around, I can look at my Jupiter Ace. It's like one of the rarest home computers that there is. They made 8,000 of them. It's rare. It's uber rare. They, for a time, cost insane money. I think they're a good bit cheaper now. But because that's been sitting there for years, and I'm used to seeing it, I don't look at it and think, wow, anymore. It's cool to have, but you have that. You do reach that been there, done that kind of thing. And you know, I can look around and I do not feel a sense of wonder, because it's been here for years. And that's where collecting comes in. It's that, I want that. And it needs to be a progression. You need to have something. If collecting is going to be fun, you need to be collecting. It's weird actually, because I'm not actively collecting right now. I don't have the money, I don't have the space, but there are things that I still want. And it's a nice feeling to think, yeah, one day I'll have one of them. It makes it still feel like an active hobby and not just a pile of stuff collecting. It's not collecting dust, because I dust it and I dig them out and play them to make videos. I think actually if I wasn't making videos, I don't know, my interest might have waned, but the doing the videos thing keeps it fun, keeps it exciting, having people to talk to about it. But if someone just said, here you go, here's everything you've ever wanted, that'd be it, ruined. And you know, if someone said, do you want all of this, I'd say no. I'd have to. Because as soon as you've got everything, it stops being an active hobby, it becomes static. and that's no fun. It's an interesting question, and link to Paul's original video down there. He's a cool guy. I've known him for a very long time, and yeah, check out his video and what he's got to say on the subject. Now, moving on. Subject, video response. This is to Lawn Boys Post 1975, who asks, what is your routine for answering comments on your videos? And it's actually a really interesting question. Dave talks about how he deals with comments on his channel. Link below. How do I do it? There's the thing. I constantly grapple with this because I get a lot of comments, and I don't ever want to be blasé about that. I've got quite a few viewers, subscribers or whatever, and I really try not to be blasé about that, while thinking I'd like more, please. If you haven't subscribed already, please click the button. Yeah, responding to comments is difficult, and the more viewers you get, the more difficult it gets. And I have some rules which I set myself, which I frequently break. Here's the thing. I try to respond to comments on recent videos. Like this video, I will respond to a lot of comments. I rarely respond to every single comment on a video, and I'll get onto that in a minute. The rule that I have set myself that I stick to is I very rarely, I will say I set myself the rule, don't respond to old comments. If they're like over a week, if the video is over a week old, I just don't. You can't. I've got, okay, I deleted 300 videos recently, but I still have over 1,300 videos on here. You can't see all of them because some are set private, but you know, around the 1,300 videos mark. And when you're still getting people coming to those videos from years ago through searches, it's a lot of comments keep piling in. So if they're old videos, it's very rare I'll respond to a comment. Funny thing is, sometimes the ones that I respond to are the ones just where someone says something that it annoys me. You need to get a capture card. No. Yeah. But on, say, today's video, I will probably not respond to every single comment. And how do I decide what I'm going to answer and what I'm not? Well, it's a tricky one. Largely, I will respond to questions. If I think it's a reasonable question to answer. I actually sometimes get really quite irked by some questions because, say, I've done a video of a game on a particular system, and someone will say, what's this game like on this other system? And I'm like, how the hell would I know? Stuff like that. The questions, the assumption that I know absolutely everything, it kind of irks me because I don't. And I'm not an expert on any of these systems. I mean, most of the stuff I've got I didn't have back in the day. I don't know them inside out. And I'll get people asking me technical stuff on things that I'm like, how the hell would I know that? I understand there is an assumption that I know everything, but honestly, I really, really don't. And the chances are you know a hell of a lot more about most of the stuff I've got here. Whoever you are, if you owned the system I'm doing a game on, back in the day, you know more about it than I did. There are only one or two things I'm really familiar with. Most of it, I'm a layman. I just happen to still, I've got the thing here. Yeah. But questions generally I will answer. I don't answer ones where I'm sitting there thinking, well, God, you could Google that yourself. What, you know, I don't know it. For me to answer it, I would have to Google it. And if I have to Google it, well, you could Google it. I don't answer those. I just sit there and roll my eyes. For a time, I used to respond to ones where someone was disagreeing with something I said, and I would defend my position. I try actually not to do that anymore. Sometimes I fail, but I just think that's fine. they have a different view to me, no problem. Sometimes I will, if they're actually stating something that is factually wrong, they're trying to disprove something I've said, but what they're saying is just plain wrong, then I respond and say, nah, that's nonsense. I try to respond to people who I consider my friends, but I often actually fail there. I kind of feel bad. There are people who I consider friends who comment on a regular basis, and I don't always reply because I don't actually always have an answer. And there's the thing, you can have comment after comment after comment and look at them and it's like, what can I say to that? Sometimes there just isn't an answer. And it is a thing I struggle with greatly, because I like to acknowledge that people who I respect and like have commented, but I just haven't got anything that I can add to what's been said. And sometimes I just plain don't reply to any. I feel bad when I do that, I really do. And a lot of it comes down to what mood I'm in. How awake am I? Sometimes I'll get out of bed and I'll come in here and look at the comments and I'm like, I'm just too tired, I can't think of anything to say, so I don't say anything, and whole videos just get nothing. I don't respond at all. I do feel bad when that happens, and it doesn't happen too often. Ultimately, I think it comes down to, I try to respond to comments every day, and I respond to as many as I can in the time that I have available, and how many I respond to depend on my mood and whether there's actually anything I can say in reply to a comment. Can I quickly think of an answer for that, or am I just answering for the sake of it when I don't have anything meaningful to say? If I don't have anything meaningful to say, yeah, it's a tricky one, because I love the interaction. I don't know whether I feel sympathy for or annoyed by the really big channels who just plain don't respond to their comments. Is it they have so many that they can't obviously respond to all of them, so they respond to none of them? They're missing out. And if that's what it is, I feel sorry for them. Is it just they think, I'm so big and important, I don't need to talk to you lot? If that's the case, well, don't think much of that. But I don't know. I don't know which it is, and maybe it's different with different people. Don't know. But yeah, I try. I don't always succeed. And it'll probably only get worse as I get more viewers. But, you know, I can't complain about getting more viewers, even if it makes replying harder. Yeah, that's my response to that. Check out Daya's video, link down there. It is a good question. It's one that needs addressing, you know, because I hate to think that there are people who would leave comment after comment and I don't reply, and they're thinking, why does he never answer me? I'm not ignoring you, I just either don't have the time, I'm not awake enough, or I just don't know what to say. Okay, moving on. I'm going to do something I haven't done in a while. I'm going to do a shout out. So let me just swing the camera around. Okay, here we go then. Today's shout out, first one in a while. I have a few more to do, but I'm only going to do this one today. Vinny Corleone 62, if I'm pronouncing that right, is Dean. Dean is a cool guy. Let me bung on. He does a series called Escape to Gaming, which is talkie videos, really. I suppose that's what you could call them. Dean has been around. He's one of the few people on YouTube making videos in this community who's older than me. I feel good about that. He's not massively older than me, but he's got a couple of years on me. Yeah, Dean has been around. He has seen like good times, hard times, you name it. His gaming history is very similar to mine. Granted, he's in the US, so the systems he's familiar with are not exactly the same as the ones that are familiar to me, but he was there at the start of gaming and he's seen it all, and I wouldn't say done it all, but you know, he knows his gaming. And what Dean has is the ability to talk the hind legs off a donkey for quite a long time. And I mean that in a good way. He does quite long videos and is able to talk at length on his given subject and remain interesting. And what he also has is a really positive outlook on life, on gaming, on whatever is his chosen topic. Is a positivity. He's got a really good, healthy attitude, which is really refreshing. There's none of this overstated bragging. Oh, there's something that that you see on certain channels from certain. I don't even have anyone in mind, but I see it. It's just what I call bullshit. Really, there is no bullshit here. It's not, I'm so great, I'm the greatest. It's just, he's done a lot of stuff. He knows a lot of stuff. He talks about it and he's positive about it, and it's very refreshing. I like what he does. I like the way he does it. If you want to sit down and listen to someone talk about gaming, their experiences and how it's fitted in with his life. It's not just, I played this game and it's great. He talks about his life and where gaming fitted in, or right back, you know, into the 70s. Brilliant. I've been watching him for a while now, and you need to have a little bit of time to watch one of his videos. You know, you need to make a space in your day. Probably kind of like one of my Friday talkies. You've got to have the time to watch one because I go on. Well, Dean can go on, but it's worth watching. Make that space in your day. Check him out, because you come away with a smile. I do anyway. I enjoy what he's doing, and I didn't know until today. I was just checking his channel out earlier. He was interviewed by Mark at Classic Game Room, because Dean, I don't know if he still does, but cars, classic cars. Does he do them up and paint them, or just paint them? I don't know. I haven't looked into his history. But Mark at Classic Game Room, I believe that's where his El Camino came from. I think that was one of Dean's. Yeah. So Mark interviewed him. It's like a 3-video series of interviews. It's linked here somewhere. I don't know where it is now, but I was quite surprised when I saw that. Very cool guy. Check him out. Vinny Corleone. Is it Corleone or Corleone? Oh God, it's The Godfather, but it's so long since I've seen that I can't remember. We'll call it Corleone. Vinny Corleone 62. Link down there. Check him out. Right then. That's about all I've got today. What's coming up? Actually, what other stuff? Got a new video that I did on playing Android badly. I'm going to try and get more stuff out on that channel because I've been neglecting it badly. New video will be coming up on Benway's World very soon. It's going to be quite long, it's going to be quite weird. You probably won't want to watch it because it will be quite difficult and challenging to watch. You probably get bored within the first 2 minutes. But anyway, I'm enjoying making it. It's a weird one. On here, more of the same. I've still got some more Game Boy games that I'm going to do videos of. Don't know what's coming after that. Haven't decided yet. But then when do I ever know what I'm going to do until I do it? Not very often. So that's that. Yeah, kind of more of the same, really. That's all I've got. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider clicking the thumbs up button. I upload videos daily, so go ahead and hit subscribe if you'd like to see more. To all those who've already subscribed, I'd just like to say a great big thank you.